Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to see this, I would like to offer your energy reading for December of 2024 for the air signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. If you're interested as to why I read for the elements instead of the zodiac, there's a link to a video down below. And if you've never had your charts read, there is a natal chart linked in the description. It gives you the 12 houses with all the little placements in it, and then it gives between 10 and 20 pages of a detailed breakdown of what that means, including an elemental alignment, generational situations, the good, the bad, all of the stuff. It's a really good resource if you've never had your charts read, so it's not sponsored, just a really good resource for you to check out if you're interested. I read intuitively, so we'll start with what's in the texts and on the cards, and then we'll go from there. We're going to start off with our I-ching hexagram, which I cast before the video here, and air has number 28. It is the hexagram of excess. Sounds fun. Excess, the ridge pole sags. It is favorable to have a goal or destination in view. Success. What I'm hearing with this one is everything is going to be going really well. Could be a little over the top in December, but it's definitely, things are getting better than what you may have thought in the first part of the month. And the text here actually indicates that things could be a lot larger than what you originally planned on. You might have had this like, this is my goal, we're not sure how it's going to work out, first little bit of December is kind of sketch, but it's actually going to become something even larger than what you anticipated. And it says the sagging of the ridge pole is from the weakness at both ends. So basically what it's saying is when you look at the hexagram, you have the strength through here, the middle, but the top and the bottom are not as strong as they could be or should be. So the first part of the month, the end of the month, but the middle is going to go really well. It's just a matter of holding true to what your focus is. So let's take a peek here at our foundational line, the first broken one. It is for mats, use white rushes, no error. What are we talking about, white rushes? I'm assuming they're talking plants, but obviously that's not always the case with these ones. White rushes are less common than ordinary rush and are probably more beautiful mats. The implication may be that if we decide to do things rather nicely, we might just as well go a little further and do them charming as well. So, air, whatever you're doing, kick it up a notch, is what that basically is saying. And it's not going to actually be a hardship for you. You might take a little extra time to put that finishing pizzazz on it, but it's actually going to work out better for you in the long run. So don't just do the job, do it with some finesse, do it with some flair, tap into that inner diva and bring that forward for projects you're working on. So our second line, the withered willow tree puts forth new shoots. An old man takes to wife a young girl. Everything is favorable. Even if this is something you've been doing for a while, that doesn't mean you can't incorporate something new. Bring in a new idea, freshen things up a bit. What they're talking about is the withered willow puts forth new shoots. Even an old tree can put on a new branch. So even though this, whatever it is you're working on or in the middle of, you've been doing for a while, bring something new and add that flair to it. And they're indicating that this actually can apply to relationships. If you've been with your partner for, a while and you're just kind of like, find a way to trigger that honeymoon period again. Spontaneously take them out to dinner, bring them flowers, do something outside the norm to kind of rekindle the spark there. So our third place line, the ridgepole sags, misfortune. This is where not having a set focus is what the problem is. If you're just kind of willy-nilly going through December, things are not going to go as great as they could. If you have a goal in mind, if you have something set as this is where I'm heading, it's going to be better. It doesn't matter if the destination is this month or 2 years down the road. Having that destination and working towards that goal is really going to be important. If you don't have a goal, it could be a little rough this month. Not bad, just not as clean as it could. And if you're really comfortable where you're at, look at things and figure out what is it that you want to improve, change, or enhance, and put that as your goal. That way you have a focus. You're very much intellectual. You really get trapped sometimes in your own head, which is great when there's direction to it. When there's not, it can be a little bit less impressive. So what they're saying is, do the things that you're naturally inclined to do, which is set goals, work towards achieving them, and that type of energy. So our 4th place line: the ridgepole is upheld, good fortune. Were it otherwise, there would be cause for blame. Even though things may not be, if you don't have a set goal right at the moment, doesn't mean that things are going to be bad. It just means they're not going to be as great as they could. When you go back to the very beginning of the overall text, excess, the ridgepole sags, it means there's a lot of benefit, there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of options coming in for you this month, Air. And if you're not set up to reach up and grab them, things can be a little bit sketch. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad, because with the 4th place, it's saying the ridgepole is upheld. So even if you don't have the goal, you'll still have the support. Sorry, just saw something out the window. You'll still have the support that you need, and that's the important aspect. It's just, it would be more beneficial for you to have a goal in mind. Our 5th place line: the withered willow puts forth blossoms. An old woman takes a vigorous young husband. No blame, no praise. It doesn't matter how long something's been going on. There's always a way to bring back a spark. There's always a way to reinvigorate it. And that's what they're saying this month is about. This year has been an up and down roller coaster for pretty much everybody. And Air, you've kind of been watching things and tweaking as you go, which is a good plan. This month is definitely time to reinvigorate. You've been kind of holding steady. Things have been pretty decent, nothing too super bad, but it's not been sparked up. It's not been flamed up. The passion has just not been there. So this month, find ways to try to trigger that and boost that creative aspect as well. So, our capstone here, top line: while he was fording the river, the water rose above his head. Misfortune, but he was not at fault. So even though you are working on these projects, and some of them might be really big, you might end up splashing around in the pond for a second. Again, not a tragedy. It's just some things may come up that were unexpected. But what I'm hearing is it's misfortune in the fact that you weren't prepared for what was coming in. And that's the advice that they're bringing forward, is set yourself up for success. Be ready for influxes of things, good or bad. Just be ready for that kind of stuff. Set yourself up to be a little bit of a more in a prepared mindset is the word they're using. So we'll go with that. Now we'll hop over to the tarot. I read week by week, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 weeks in December, 4.5. We'll go with 5. And each week we look at a guide or a guardian, which is someone to guide you through the week, look to for some support, or in the guardian sense, keep you out of the unpleasantness, or at least buffer it so it's not as interesting. A message from source, which is a positive affirmation, supporting information, or just overall comfort that might be needed that week. And then we look at a lesson or a challenge from the tarot, a lesson to work on if you are so inclined, or a challenge giving you a little heads up there might be something coming in. So your first week is number 27 with Asclepius. I'm getting an energy of healing through struggle is this first week, and that it's not like bad struggle, but it's like you're not in the best place that you could be, but there's definitely some powerful healing being offered to you even in that moment. Let's take a peek and see what the book says. I'm not as familiar with this deck, and it's chatty, but not the way I would prefer it to be. Asclepius was the ancient Greek god of medicine, the son of Apollo. Upon meeting him for the first time, his opening words can be, "Your modern image of the catechist is incorrect," which he does have a catechist over here. Let's bring that up. There we go. He is a healer and reminds us that inside us resides our own healing. His particular affinity lies with practitioners who use healing plants, herbalism, homeopathy, oils, essences, and so he works with a bit more of a shamanistic technique. So the first week is definitely about doing some inner healing, doing some work. They're saying if you're a practitioner, take your time with your clients, but do not forget to take care of yourself as well. And the flower essences and things like that are really super powerful in a subtle way. And that's going to be kind of how you respond to things this month. Is it's going to be pretty powerful how you interact with everything, but it's going to be done in such a subtle way that most people are going to walk away going, I'm not sure what just happened, but it was good. So your message from source is go with the flow, let things happen. This first week is really about finding a good quiet balance. With Asclepius coming forward, it's saying do the inner work, do the healing work, set yourself up for success. And this one with go with the flow is saying you have to have the plan, you have to have everything set in place. This month, things are going to be working outside of your base level control, which is perfectly fine. Allow that to happen. You've done your work, which is setting the goals, taking the next steps, and the universe's work is to step in and fill those voids, and that's where the flow comes in. You're along for the ride as long as you keep your rudder and focus at the right direction. So let's see what your first week's lesson or challenge is. There we go. We have the Knight of Pentacles. So there is some change that is going to be offered to you this month. It's going to be more in the home and finance aspect of things. And they're saying it's going to be a slow-moving process. It's not going to be super fast, super spontaneous. Out of the Knights, I think Earth, which is Pentacles, is one of the slowest ones. So things are going to be moving, and they're going to be moving in a beneficial way. But don't get too attached to needing the result this moment, because it's going to come. It's just got to build that momentum. So right now is not a time where it's going to be quick. So they're saying this is a good time to practice patience. So let's take a peek at your second week's guide or guardian. Number 10, the Freedom Dragon. These are saying tap into that ability to step away from, you are not defined by your work. You are not defined by your social group. You have the freedom to move from one group to the other, from one job to another. You have the freedom to reinvent yourself. You are in a situation where your freedom, your ability to exist is so much more important and so much more valuable to you than what someone's label they stuck on you is. The first week, you were doing a little bit more of the inner work, leaning on some patience to wait for things to occur. The second week is the reminder of there's no such thing as this is the only option. And with the freedom to understand that and step into that, the Freedom Dragons are all about having some fun, relaxing, going with the flow. They're really strong on that one. But they're saying that you have the free will, that if something is not quite right, you're just feeling it's off in like a gut instinct, you have every right, every reason, and every ability to shift that. Air, you are very intellectual. You tend to look things from a very analytical perspective. You do not like illusion. You tend to cut it away anyway. So the freedom to look at something and be like, something's not right here, and adjust it is 100% within your realm of possibility this month. Your message from source, this is an odd one, is 7 deadly sins, humanity's destructive traits. This is that concept of don't get trapped in the illusion of this is the only way. God Source Divine wants you to understand that the 7 deadly sins were things to be very wary of, to be aware of, and to step away from. If you get wrapped up in being a workaholic, that's a form of gluttony, to be perfectly honest. There's also a touch of pride with that. So if that's where things are heading because you must stay focused, step back. What are we doing here? How can we adjust this? Remember, the second week is all about freedom and touching into that ability to change things that may or may not be the way you want them to be. If they are, how can you adjust it to make it better? If they're not, how can you change it completely away from that direction? because the 7 deadly sins are things that will trap you in a cycle. They will trap you with a label, and that's where you want to be freed from that this second week. So pay attention to how things are being perceived, and if it's not the way you want it to be perceived as, you have the freedom to change that. Your lesson or challenge is number 19, the sun. This one is saying that you have a lot of things shining in your favor. You have a great protector going on here. You also have the childlike wonder and innocence of new things coming forward. You're supported by the moon because, the solar energy tends to be the dominant, the lunar tends to be the submissive, but the submissive is not weak. It's very much about support. The sun in this aspect does not shine without the support of the moon. The moon does not reflect without the light of the sun. This is a balancing act. And so what they're saying is the sun is the more projective. That's where you're at. But don't allow the ego and the pride to get ahead of that. That's where the moon comes in with a more gentle, intuitive. Keep it where it belongs. Don't get too overinflated. And that's the message that I'm getting for the second week. So let's take a peek at your third week. We have number 6, the confidence dragons. These guys are coming in to remind you that confidence is the ability to, you know what you know, you are able to handle anything that life throws at you, and that's why you're getting the larger influx of options and opportunities this month, because you have the confidence. You have been learning, educating yourself, and growing to be able to say yes, yes, no, no. You can pick and choose from what is being offered, but you also have the ability to lead others. You're not leading so much, what I'm hearing is not from like a teaching standpoint where you're talking and lecturing and writing on the whiteboard. It's more about leading by example, by how you respond to these things, how you select and choose the right opportunities and options. People are paying attention to that. And they're saying there's like 1 or 2 specific ones that are paying attention. You're not fully aware of who these people are right yet. It could come out later, but right now you're not. But they're observing and they are learning from how you respond to these situations. So when you step into a choice, you're doing so with quiet confidence because you know what you know where you're going, and you know how to select the best option to that goal. And people are paying attention to that, and it's actually a really beautiful thing. Your message from Source is the battle of the blues, taking steps towards positive changes. Even if you're not feeling it the middle of the month, this third week, they're saying that you have so much generated positivity, you have this momentum that has been built, that you can succeed where others would look at you and be like, but you've had all this other stuff going on, how are you possibly still going? Because you have learned that positivity is in here. Doesn't matter what's going on out here. It's here, and it's also in your heart. So when you are positive and grounded there, the rest of it falls into place without a lot of struggle. And that's what they're wanting you to understand is the battle of the blues is saying don't worry about what other people's opinions of where you're at is. You might not have the best house. You might be in a job transition. That doesn't mean that you're not where you're supposed to be. And it also doesn't mean that the opportunities are not there. It also does not mean that the universe is not conspiring in your favor, because it is. You have the opportunities. You have these benefits from the universe coming forward. It is conspiring because you have set a goal and you are aiming for a destination. The universe is filling that void. It just doesn't have to appear that way to other people because they're not involved at this point. Your third week's guide or guardian is the 3 of Wands. Don't let your fire burn out. Just because things might be a little bit more quiet in this third week, there might be a little bit of confusion, there might be a little outside distractions going on. The 3 of Wands is what I'm hearing is don't allow that to negate all the positivity that you've been doing. When you look at her face, if you can see it, she's kind of sad, she's kind of morose, she's not where she would like to be, and she's allowing that to slow her down. It's allowing the outside influences to kind of break down her motivation, her passion. And what they're saying is this third week is that could be a little bit of a challenge that comes up is you might get that person you thought was a friend or even is a really good friend, and they may make an offhanded comment that may thump you a little bit. But that's where this battle of the blues, you're in a really good spot. So don't let something minor like that be like, oh, I have to give up. Don't do that. The opportunities are still there. You have all this amazing energy coming forward. So stay focused on where you're headed. Their comment, yeah, it might sting a little bit, but it's their comment and it's their opinion. So your fourth week's guide or guardian is number 14, Oberon. I'm not sure what this dragon is. I'm getting there's some aggression here. There's some protection, defense, passion, dominance. Those are the vibes I'm getting from it to start with. Let's take a peek here. We have Oberon is here to reassure you that you can achieve what is required. You may have to dig deep within yourself and do this for the long haul, but you can and will succeed. This connection, he is connected firmly to the ground, and in effect connects to our base, to our root chakra. He therefore relates to everything that makes up our physical lives and the world we create for ourselves. So he is here to remind you that this month, energetically, there's a lot coming in for you. A lot of benefits, a lot of opportunities, a lot of, options. Stay grounded as you're going forward, because things can get a little tricky when you start getting too many options. You can get too many doors opening. Air, you work from the intellectual primarily, and so you have that focus of what is the best option for me in this moment, what is going to take me closer to my destination, what is going to support me as I support my family, my friends group, my inner circle. And when you look at it from that perspective, Oberon is really saying, let me help you sort through the details. You are in a good spot. Everything is pretty much lining up the way you want. It may not be as fast as you would like. They're saying that this is the long term, but the opportunities and the options that you have available to you are what is going to shift from 10 years down the road, bringing it down to like a 5-year window, all dependent on which choices you make this month. There's really not going to be, from what I'm hearing, is a wrong one. It's just which one is going to achieve the goal faster. That's literally your options this month. Is where are you at? Are you ready to take on a fast track or a middle line, or maybe keep it a little bit slow because you have enough other things happening? Doesn't mean it's going to be bad any direction. It's just you have the opportunity to make those decisions. Your fourth week's message from Source is the potential, thinking big for your future. Oberon's coming in to say, let's do this, let's sort this, let's get you on the right path for what you're ready to achieve in this moment. And now you have the potential. The potential is there. From the I-ching forward, we're talking about looking at things from a very big perspective. There's big energies coming up, whether that is big shifts in your relationship, big shifts in your business, big shifts in your personal life, like you're moving a house, buying a house, which would be awesome. You have a lot of different things moving on here, and the potential that you have access to right now is substantial. And God Source Divine wants you to understand that the potential is available. It's all in how you choose to achieve it, how you choose to access it, and what you choose to do with it once you've made that decision. So let's take a peek at your fourth week's guide or lesson or challenge. We have the 10 of Wands. By this fourth week, you kind of reconnected with your passion, but it's saying don't let it overwhelm you. Your passion is going to really flare up, and I'm hearing that air has a dual purpose with fire. It can flare it up and make it big, or it can put it out. So your energy towards your passions and the goals and dreams needs to be balanced in that aspect of the fire's there, you want to encourage it, you don't want it to burn down your house, but you also don't want to blow it out. So you have to kind of nurture it and grow it. If you ever watched any of the old westerns, think of a blacksmith's billow with the billow pumps. They're fanning the flames to encourage them, to get them hot enough to do the work that is necessary, but they're not trying to blow them out, and they're not trying to burn that place down. So your goal this month is to get inspired, choose the things that are in alignment with where you want to be. That way you can actually bank that fire, that passion, and carry it through into next year, because that's coming in a couple weeks. Let's take a peek at our fifth week guide or guardian. And we have the Philosopher, number 25. This is about looking at things from theoretical perspectives, looking at the philosophies and the concepts and the research of the past. How can you integrate that into your life? With the I-ching, it said that the first of the month and the end of the month were going to be the most wobbly. So the Philosopher is saying, at this point, the outside world's doing its thing. You've got everything set up. Keep doing the next steps, but you do not have to actively be tweaking at this point. Just take the next step. This is about getting more back into that inner world, really adjusting mindsets, because when you start to grow, you get the big opportunities and options. A lot of the times that I've seen anyway, people will get an opportunity, take it, and then flop, and it's because their mindset was still stuck in, I am over here in this, let's take it for a job set, I'm still over here in minimum wage job, I just got promoted to, $20 an hour or better, but I'm still stuck over here in minimum wage thinking, so when I'm here, I'm not quite ready for that position. The Philosopher's saying, it's okay if you're still there, let's start adjusting up, because now you're in a position of, you're a manager, you're a supervisor, whatever it is that you've been moved up, using that as an example, whatever you're moving up to, there's a shift in mindset, where before you didn't have the responsibility, it wasn't the deal, you were minimum wage, you just, served the burger, so to speak. And now you're in a position where you have to be the one in charge of keeping the other people serving the burger. You might have to step in and help, but that's not your priority anymore. Your priority is maintaining and managing, and that is a philosophical change. People will argue that that's not quite how that works, but it is. Your mindset has to shift with those different shifts in life, and the Philosopher Dragon is saying, let's look at what needs to change here to be able to open up and accept that next level of energy that's coming forward. Your message from Source is the Archangel Raphael, provider of healing for mind, body, and soul. When you work with the Philosopher Dragon and Archangel Raphael, what you're doing is you're opening up a doorway to healing. Philosophy is more about healing the mind and emotions. So you are really, this last week is all about anchoring this growth that you have achieved into this now moment. It's about taking all of the stuff. If you're a little bit nervous about, am I going to do a good job in this new role? Am I going to be able to handle it? These two are probably the best options. This one's going to say, yes, let's adjust this. Raphael is going to say, of course you're going to do all right. Let's heal let's look into why we have this doubt and this fear, and let's adjust it and let's heal it. So this last week might not be as active outwardly as the rest of the month has been a little bit more focused on, but it's definitely going to be exceptionally beneficial for the inner world, and that's the reason with the I-ching it talks about like the first and the top and the bottom are going to be the weaker parts. It doesn't mean weaker in energy. It meant weaker as in the physical shifts may not be as noticeable to the outside world. But what's going on in here and the amount of fixing, adjusting, and uplifting that is being offered to you in this 5th week is going to be massive. So our last week's lesson or challenge is the One of Wands, the Ace of Wands. With the Ace of Wands, what we're getting is this is the start of something new. Don't be afraid of something new. Once you get your mindset kind of shifted into this newer energy of what you're actually doing and where you're moving towards and getting excited for the future, that opens up the doorway to new passion, to new ideas, new concepts. And when we're talking about the fire energy of Wands, we're talking about something that's going to start propelling you. This is the beginning. Get that fire banked and get it started and get it banked, and then it can really take off. And check out the magic that can happen in the new year, because this last week of December is setting you up for the first week of 2024. Or 2025. Sorry. So you're really getting yourself set up for this amazing transition into what looks to be a pretty fast-moving year next year. So hopefully these messages resonate for you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, let me know what you think on the video, comment thoughts, feelings, opinions, suggestions. As long as we're respectful, that's the big one that we can all ask for in this world. With that, I will let you guys go. Have a great month of December.